Once in a quiet village, there lived a man who became angry over the smallest things. If someone disagreed with him, he started arguing. Whenever anything went wrong, he blamed the people around him. He believed that the villagers were careless, his neighbors were unreasonable, and even his own family failed to understand him. But the truth was that his greatest enemy was not another person, it was his own anger. One day, an old monk arrived in the village. He sat beneath a banyan tree on the outskirts of the village. He spoke little, but his words were always meaningful. One evening, the man's wife suggested that he meet the monk. The man laughed and said, "Ha, what can a wandering monk do for me? He has no experience of living in society." The next morning, the man was working in his field when a young boy ran past him. The boy accidentally stepped on one of his farming tools and broke its wooden handle. The man immediately lost his temper. "You careless fool," he shouted. "Can't you see where are you stepping?" The boy apologized, but the man continued scolding him. "You foolish boy, call your parents. I will complain to them about you," he shouted. Tears filled the child's eyes, and he ran home crying. That day, the man did not feel relieved. He knew that the boy had made an innocent mistake and that he had reacted far too harshly. That evening, the child's frightened face kept returning to his mind. "Why do I feel worse every time I become angry?" he wondered. "If anger makes me strong, then why does it leave me feeling so weak?" That night, he could not sleep. The following morning, he walked to the banyan tree. The monk was already sitting there peacefully. When he saw the man, he gently gestured him to sit down. "Master," the man said, "whenever someone annoys me or argues with me, I lose control of my mind. What should I do?" The monk smiled and asked, "All right, tell me one thing. When anger comes, how long does it remain?" "Sometimes for an hour, sometimes for the whole day, and sometimes even for several days." "And how do you feel after it subsides?" "I feel regretful. The incident keeps returning to my mind, and I regret my behavior again and again." A begging bowl lay beside the monk. He picked it up, filled it with water, and placed it before the man. "Look into this bowl," he said. The water was still, and the man could clearly see his reflection. Suddenly, the monk shook the bowl. Ripples appeared, and the reflection became distorted. "Can you see your face clearly now?" the monk asked. "No, master," replied the man. "Your mind is like this water," the monk explained. "When anger takes over, the mind becomes restless. In that state, you cannot clearly understand what is right and what is wrong, how you should respond, or what the consequences of the action may be. But a calm mind can see the situation clearly and choose wisely." The man asked, "But master, what should I do when someone argues with me? Should I remain silent and allow people to mistreat me?" "No," said the monk. "Remaining silent and remaining calm are not the same. You can speak firmly and defend yourself without shouting. Most fights begin with a disagreement. But when voices rise and words become harsh, that disagreement turns into a fight." "But some people never accept their mistakes," the man said. The monk smiled. He dropped a handful of sand into the bowl and stirred the water until it became muddy. "Can you see clearly through this water?" he asked. "No, master," said the man. "Then wait. They sat quietly. Slowly, the sand settled at the bottom and the water became clear again. The monk asked, "Can you see through the water now?" "Yes, master," the man replied. "The water is clear now and I can see through it." "What did you do to make the water clear?" asked the monk. "I did nothing. I simply waited for the particles of sand to settle." "Exactly," said the monk. "Whenever anger begins to control you, step away for a few moments. Sit quietly and take slow and deep breaths. Your breath is like the reins of your mind. When you slow your breathing, your mind also begins to settle." He continued, "Once you are calm, you may see that the other person was wrong. You may also discover that the mistake was partly yours." "But master," the man interrupted, "people do not accept their mistakes even when they are wrong." The monk smiled and said, "You see, my friend, if someone refuses to accept his mistake, it is not your duty to force him to understand. There are millions of people in the world. How many of them will you correct?" The man remained silent. The monk continued, "Imagine that the ground is covered with stones, thorns, and sharp pebbles. Would you cover the entire earth with a carpet so that you could walk comfortably?" "No, master," replied the man. "You would simply wear shoes and continue walking. In this way, it would feel as though the entire ground has been covered for you." Similarly, you cannot change every person in the world, but you can change yourself and train your mind not to be affected by everyone. The monk then said, "Whenever someone says something unpleasant and you immediately become angry, you hand that person the remote control of your mind. A few harsh words can disturb you, while a little praise can please you. Your peace then begins to depend on others." He looked into the man's eyes and asked, "Tell me, who should hold the remote control of your mind? You or other people?" The man lowered his head and said, "I should have control of my mind." The monk smiled. "Then why do you keep giving it away?" He continued, "Take the reins of your mind into your own hands. Pause before reacting. Do not turn every disagreement into a fight. Allow your emotions to settle and then decide what should be said or done." For the first time, the man understood that he had not been fighting with other people all those years. He had been fighting with himself. He had handed control of his mind to anyone who could provoke him. From that day onward, whenever anger rose within him, he paused, took a deep breath, and waited before speaking. He did not change overnight, but slowly he became more patient. He finally understood that peace does not come when everyone behaves according to our wishes. Peace comes when we stop allowing other people to control what happens within us. If we look closely at our own lives, we will find that anger is a natural emotion. It often arises when someone disagrees with us, ignores our advice, points out our mistakes, or behaves differently from what we expected. Sometimes, however, the real cause of anger is not the other person at all. It may be our tiredness, stress, pride, fear, or the feeling that we are not being respected. Interestingly, our anger is usually directed at others, while we rarely stop to examine our own behavior. In anger, we stop listening and begin trying to prove ourselves right. Our voice becomes louder, our words become harsher, and sometimes a small disagreement turns into a serious fight. In a moment of anger, We may hurt our spouse, children, friends, or co workers and later regret what we said or did. That is why it is wisely said, if you are patient in one moment of anger, you will escape 100 days of sorrow. Anger also steals our inner peace. Even after the argument has ended, the incident may keep returning to our mind, disturbing our sleep and affecting our health and relationships. It reminds me of another quote on anger, which says, "To be angry is to punish yourself for someone else's mistake." Controlling anger does not mean accepting wrong behavior. It means pausing before responding. Step away for a moment, breathe slowly, and allow your mind to settle. Then, if necessary, speak firmly, without hatred or the desire to hurt. We cannot control how everyone behaves with us, but we can decide who holds the remote control of our mind, us or other people. So, the next time anger begins to rise, remember that your peace is more valuable than winning an argument. Do not hand its control to someone else. Hold the reins of your mind firmly. Choose patience over reaction and let your calmness become your true strength.